everybody. Thank you for attending. I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Ferrante back at the reference desk in July. She came up to me and generously gave us a copy of her book, memoirs, which you're about to hear about. And we suggested that she, or you suggested, one of us suggested that you do a bedroom. So funny. So here
I
it is.
probably begged you.
So without further ado, Lynne Heffner Ferrante.
I first have to warn everybody that I am the world's worst reader, out loud reader, but I'm going to do my best. I'm not an actress, I'm just an artist. So, I just want to tell you something about the book. I've been working on it for many, 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 many years, and it became very, very, very long and unwieldy, and it had so many pages that it became almost a joke, and I turned it into 4 books. It became a trilogy with a sequel. So that's, the first thing I'm going to read to you is, it's a very short thing. It's a little segment out of the 4th book, but I'm reading it because it's something that happened, and some of the people who were there are here right now, and it has to do with the, the whole idea of putting together and publishing, writing and publishing a book. So I just thought it would be fun to start off with that. So no names will be mentioned, except maybe Pat. Nothing insulting.
Would you want a more comfortable chair?
No, I'm okay. I'm fine, thanks. Yeah. Okay. So this is, it's entitled The Present Day, Winter 2009. We are braving the night chill combined with normal after-hours fatigue. I am as well fighting the assault of oncoming car lights on my failing eyes. I am driving home with Eileen after class, 7 pounds to Deerfield to Scuttle Hole, the reverse of our earlier trip over what has come to be known as Dan's Shortcut, since it was published so many years ago in Dan's papers, the popular local free periodical, freeing desperate drivers from the ignominy of travel on the main road, County 39. There has been an encouraging response from her friend, the editor, and the other 2 editors I have discovered who have read my first pages. But her friend is closing up shop, and the other 2, while excited about the project, are prohibitively expensive. Have you thought any more about self-publishing? I have been so immersed in the process that I have forgotten about where it is headed, so it is inevitable that I am reminded by members of the workshop. Then suddenly and momentously, there is a fortuitous pop-up ad on Facebook for an online vanity publisher, and I feel compelled to contact them. It is Beshert, meant to be. I think to myself, for courage, okay, I'm sorry. It is Beshert, meant to be, I think to myself, for courage. It's an old story. I'll have to do it myself. Art isn't ever easy. That's what I remind myself. Here's my main problem. I have accumulated so many pages of manuscript that among our group I have become a running joke. But I try to explain to them, it's a saga about my personal odyssey, my journey to personal discovery. It is a quintet or a quintology, I don't know what you call a set of 5 books in one. And Pat and I Google it and decide it would need to be a pentology, but that doesn't sound right because it seems to be describing something satanic. Delineating or set in several marriages, career evolutions, adversities, and tragedies, as seen through an anthology of recollections spanning over 7 decades. I only read thin books, says one of the group. Wouldn't even pick up a book that size. You need to edit your story down because no one will want to read it, and if I inadvertently picked it up, I would throw it down before I even started reading it. 500 pages more or less is fodder for humor, not to be taken seriously. Every time I begin to make drastic cuts, though, I find myself hesitating. What if this is important? The bottom line is, this is my story, and I can include whatever I want. It's one of the attributes of vanity publishing. My friend insists it's just too many pages, so I tell her that's what they told Dostoevsky, and they all look at me speechless with wonder that I would equate my poor, pitiful excuse for writing, or myself, to such a literary giant. But this is my own War and Peace, I think, with defiance. Way back in 1984, when I was only partway through the story, most of which hadn't even happened yet, an author by the name of Helen slight point resulting from the force of the expulsion of his birth. I inhaled deeply the ineffably musky, clean baby odor of his skin, and I sighed. I have waited so long all of my life. I reached with one hand for the pastels and sketch pad on the bedside table, always within my reach. It is second nature to me. I balance the soft, warm, fragrant package and begin a drawing of that darling face. I give the process, the impulse, no conscious thought. Within a few more years, I have piles of them, sketches of different children at different phases, starting with each one mere moments after birth. I adjust the blankets, shift the position of the precious bundle, somehow instinctively aware of just what to do. I am so comfortable with this mama-baby thing, I think to myself, as I feel myself drifting again. Now I sit in the soft, damp, sweet-smelling grass. The little one sprawled across the thick woven plaid blanket that my mother brought back from her last European voyage during the summer vacation, this one to Scotland. The children are still carefully dressed against the early spring weather, but the sun presses warmly on their chubby bodies, heating their skin and their soft hair. They will turn platinum blonde again this summer, I think, as I arrange their picnic lunch. PB&J and bologna, American cheese, bananas and chocolate chip cookies, all of the gourmet necessities of the day, apple slices, carrot sticks in plastic containers. Piled haphazardly on the blanket, a small collection of library books to read to them. In the distance, other children play on the playground equipment. I watch them cavort on monkey bars and envision painting a portrait of them in this setting, climbing and clambering, hanging upside down, arms akimbo, laughing and screaming. I promise them that they will have the chance to swing before they leave, although swings have never been my personal favorite. I breathe deeply again of the fresh spring air and feel a great joy. What more can anyone want in life, I think, but my eyes are beginning to feel sticky and dry, and I am having trouble keeping them open and drifting. The older ones dig and dig like crazy in the hot sand until they have a large cradle-like area. The little ones play with brightly colored plastic shovels and assorted sand toys, occasionally returning from a short jaunt to the nearby surf with a shell or a pail full of salty water to pour over the shifting sand and carefully sculpt their creations. I watch them with a great happiness, my eyes coveting their lithe brown bodies and adoring their flyaway white blonde hair. Ready, Mom, the oldest says softly, a glow of adoration cloaking his serious face, beaming at me as he helps me fit my belly, huge with child again, into the big sand pit. Now you can lie on your stomach, he laughs infectiously, and the others join. It is a big joke, this clumsy and immobile whale like Mommy, usually slender and perpetually active. I feel so comfortable that I wish I could stay here for whatever short time I have left till the birth, a giant turtle protecting its eggs in the hot sand. I place my chin on my folded hands and watch my beloved children do their summer beach things, racing in and out of the surf, digging and building. I adore their serious faces that can in a moment open into wide laughter and raucous giggles. I adore their perfect limbs and bodies, toasted now to a golden tan. I am indeed blessed. I feel myself drifting as the heat of the sun beats down on my motionless body. Lulling me, I must keep watching them, I think. I cannot fall asleep. They run through the drifts of brilliantly colored leaves, whooping and hollering with joy. What a marvelous day. The sun beats strongly, but without the great heat of summer, and the air is sweet with fall aromas, dying leaves, fading flowers, cooking, barbecuing me. Everywhere there is color, magenta, red, orange, yellow, azure blue of sky, and golden green of grass. All of us, mother and children, come together in the midst of a clearing in the wooded park, and our bodies crush one another in a great giggling hug. Hug. Love you, Mommy, they all scream, and love you, babies, I answer, smiling widely, wanting to say more, but choking on the emotion of my love for them and needing to wipe away the crushed leaf dust and fine sand that whirls into my face with the autumn breeze, making me blink, encrusting and closing my eyes. Everything swirls with the breeze, and I wonder where I am. Soon I feel myself lying down and think that I must have fallen in the midst of our raucous celebration of life and love. But moving my fingers tentatively in the air and around my body, I feel the tight-slipped crispness of hospital sheets, smell the clean antiseptic odor of hospital, and realize that I must have just had my baby. I can sense the powerful hardness of full breasts. I feel myself grinning from ear to ear, and once again ask for the moving shadows from my child. No, answers the nurse gently, her crisp whiteness beginning to come into focus. I cannot bring you your baby. There is no baby, she sighs apologetically. You are mistaken about that. But you don't understand, I say. I need to see my baby. I want my baby. Hot tears are forming behind my ears, my eyes, and suddenly begin flowing profusely, uncontrollably, cascading down my face. And I feel my chest and intestines constrict, and my heart begins that familiar pounding, and I feel once again that incredible pain of incomprehensible, never-ending loss. My babies, I sob, I want my babies. Please, I plead from the depths of my soul, someone get me my babies. That's the opening, that's the prelude. More. Eesh. More. More, Jen.
What time frame does this book go from?
This book is the first book is about my first marriage. The books have been divided into my 3 marriages. It just happened to work that way. And the first one is about my marriage to my first husband, Steve, and it's called Lost Innocence because, you know, all the youthful stories going back into my family background and all kinds of customs and traditions and the 50s and the 40s and
It goes up to the 50s.
it goes up to 66-ish, 68 maybe, that's how far it goes. And then the next book is about my second marriage and all of that little horror show. And, but this is about learning things about myself, about life, and there's a lot of kind of strange things that happen as we get towards the so-called age of Aquarius, you know, and as I begin to realize that no, I don't have to be anybody's chattel, and no, I don't have to be anybody's prisoner, and you know, so it begins to evolve into something else. So okay, this one.
And read a little bit slower.
Slower, I know,
Slower
I
than
I was waiting to hear you say slower, Lynn,
Well, I
slower.
was gonna, but I was told.
Linda was the teacher, enabler, no, facilitator.
Enabler.
Facilitator of our group, and she has been incredibly helpful, and I'm very grateful to all, you know, Linda and Pat and Tina and the other ladies, and Johanna, and all the other ladies who couldn't have been here from our group today. It was because of that group that I was able to take like cartons and cartons and cartons full of manuscripts and notes and things and put them into some sort of form, you know, and make a book out of it, you know. So thank you. And if I go too fast, you have my permission
All
to
right.
yell.
Yeah.
Just yell. Stop. Stop that. Okay. This is an incident that happened when I was a very small child in 1943 during the war. And okay, so I'm going to read this. It's called The Record. And my friends have heard it 2,000 times, but that's okay. It's been changed since you've heard it. Okay. 1943. Look what the postman brought you, says my mother, holding out a worn manila envelope covered with the familiar strong black smartly angled slashes of alphabet letters that create names and addresses. I recognize my name and our address. My mother, the consummate educator, has already taught me to read, to write both cursive and script. I recognize his sloping scroll. Do you want to open it? I shake my head, no, looking downward. I sit at a miniature replica dining room table placed in the corner of the bedroom that I share with my mother in our tiny wartime construction apartment. I am aware that she is watching me. I look with some awe at her familiar bronze chestnut hair swept up from the back and twirled around to form a pompadour in front, then fastened in that familiar 40s do. I can sense her sky blue eyes gazing tenderly at me, watching me play. The table is set with tiny flower-patterned porcelain dishes and elaborately patterned stamped tin tableware, an assortment of porcelain-faced dolls and delicately hand-tailored ruffled dresses sit around the table as if waiting for refreshments. I am the mommy in this scenario, waiting to feed my babies. I may play at being mommy, but carefully wrought bronze sausage curls brought up in the rear of my head and held by a large taffeta bow of pink, yellow, apple green, and forget-me-not blue plaid, clearly defined me as a child. One of my electric cord and plugs it into the wall. She places the black disc on the spindle in the center of the turntable and turns the black knob to a mark stamped on in tiny white letters against the faded brown faux leather. Meanwhile, I patently ignore both my mother and the phonograph as with intense deliberation I go through the elaborate charade of feeding each of the dolls tiny spoonfuls of air, moving the spoon from miniature china cup to pursed porcelain lid. There is a sudden burst of noise, a scraping, scratching sound, and a rough, disarming static, and we both jump startled, looking at each other. I giggle, and my mother smiles softly and indulgently as our eyes lock. I can literally feel the current of love that passes between us. All at once, we hear that familiar, deep, rich baritone, strictly a cappella, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We will fight our country's battles on the land and on the sea. My mother wipes at a tear that trickles across her cheek, threatening to land on her only silk blouse, which she wears with each of her carefully tailored suits when she teaches her classes at PS 76 across the Bronx. In a corner, next to an ancient Singer sewing machine and assortment of colored threads and sewing implements, there is an entire library of patterns and Paul's butter of Vogue. She cannot pass a fabric store without entering, and despite vows of abstinence, never leaves without some fresh pattern or woven treasure tucked resolutely under her arm to add to her growing collection. Visions of completed sewing projects dancing in her mind, creating a momentary respite from thought and daily stress. Some intense inner force has directed her to carefully choose the particular fabric she has used to create her smashing suit from the vast stash of worsteds, wools, gabardines, and more that are carefully stored in dresser drawers, closet shelves, in an assortment of bags and cardboard boxes. My mother's collections are everywhere. I go back to feeding my dolls as if nothing has occurred, my face a tight mask. There has been no package, no record, no song. I have not heard the voice of my father, whose face I would not even remember if I did not have photos placed all around me. A dumb black plastic record is not my father. I force all thoughts of daddy and records and songs from my mind. I am totally engrossed in my occupation, being the mama, and a great feeling of tenderness flows through me. But an instant later, a strange heat unexpectedly begins to seep through my body up into my face. I am aware that I am clenching my eyes and cheeks. I cannot identify or control the emotions that rush up at me, but suddenly I am grabbing the disc from the twirling turntable. The needle is scraping across it. The grating, irritating sound is meshed with that of my fingernails skittering over the disc, and I have knocked it to the floor where it shatters, splitting into several jagged sections. There is a moment of absolute silence. My mother carefully picks up the pieces. Daddy will send you another record, don't worry, she says, with tense, studied patience. It's okay, I understand, she says. She puts one hand on her chest, the other encompasses the cracked pieces of the record. Her face says that she feels as though a similar crack has begun to travel across her chest. She takes a deep breath and continues blindly with her efforts to clean up the broken plastic pieces. Life goes on, she murmurs. There is a will on. She shoves the suitcase with its phonograph back onto the bed. She leaves the room, overcome with emotion. I can feel that she does not want me to see her upset. I hug my own chest, needing to feel her arms around me, needing to absorb her warmth, to feel her consolation that I am alone, except I have my babies. After my mother leaves the room, I take a deep breath and purse my lips, sticking out my chin. I continue resolutely to pursue my favorite and customary occupation. I slip into the kitchen, push a chair over to the cupboard, and scan the assortment of foodstuffs in colorful cardboard boxes, finally choosing one. It'll be baby food anyway, no matter what its actual purpose was meant to be. Somewhere in another room, I can hear the soft, desperate sounds of my mother's sobs. Ignoring them with quiet deliberation, I climb down and carefully open the top of the box, spooning out 2 tablespoons of flakes, and then reverse my steps to return the box to its home. I add a few drops of water fetched from the bathroom tap to the flakes, mixing the mess until it has a creamy consistency. I proceed to feed my babies for real, stuffing the truly nasty stuff into their delicate porcelain faces, between their tiny teeth and down into their stuffed pork bodies. I murmur customary little words of love and endearment, encouragement and consolation, so familiar to me as I perform my maternal chore. I am so engrossed in my activity that I fail to hear my mother return. What are you doing? Asked my mother with a sharp edge to her voice. Those dolls will be ruined. Already dark stain is spreading across their muslin chests. The actual value of material things appears to have a more serious importance. They're not dolls, Mommy, I answered